Let's take a look at setting up a guitar with a floating tremolo that has a locking nut. The tools we're going to need for this job: we're going to need our 6-inch ruler, we're going to need a 3mm and 2.5mm Allen wrench, our wire cutters, some shims for a Floyd rose, a small Phillips screwdriver, a capo, a little scraper, a needle nose pliers, a regular pliers, some 3-in-1 oil. We're going to need an X-Acto knife, our string winder, the tuning fork or the strobe tuner, and we may need the neck rest, so we'll keep that around as well. First thing we want to do, we've got a Kramer Beretta here with a Floyd rose on it, and we're going to take a look at lubricating these knife edges here with some 3-in-1 oil. You play this all the time. A lot of people have sweat comes off their hand, comes down here, and just the playing, these areas get worn out and they'll last longer. And a lot of people don't do this, but if you just take some 3-in-1 oil and just occasionally lubricate that. It's metal on metal, and just like a bearing or anything else, a little bit of lubrication, just you put a drop there, and then just work it in, back and forth. And you might want to do that a second time. Even pick the guitar straight up like this, so that go ahead and use some gravity. It'll draw it right down to the, right around that. There's a little knife edge there that rubs up against the pin. And this'll help a lot because those knife edges do wear out. So I think we've got those pretty well lubricated now. Next thing that happens on these guitars, especially with some of the newer ones, up here on the nut, you're going to, they've got a lot of finish or some sort of material that they use to put the finish on the metal, especially the black metal, and it builds up. And when you go to, especially these strings like a high E or a B, it builds up in there. And when you go to clamp that down, the string itself just squishes right into it, so you don't really get the clamp on the string. So the string actually still slides, and that's why they don't work that well. So we take a little scraper here, and we just take that, and let's just scrape away that finish. And just, you don't have to be nice about this. Just go ahead and scrape that stuff away. And I would just go ahead and take them all off and do it. We don't need to do that right now, but I think you get the idea that getting that finish off of there helps. And same problem happens on this side here, where you need to get a scraper on there and just really get any of that excess finish off of there. Some are worse than others, depending on which company made the Floyd Rose. There's a lot of them licensed to do it. But that really causes a problem because it's so soft, the string can slip through it. So you scrape that off, and then we're going to have to make note that this little saddle, or I mean not saddle, but little nut clamp, has a little curve to it. And you have to be sure which way you put this on, because you can see the other way, it's flat. So when we put this back on, this nut actually has a curve as well, going this way right here. String goes over the top of a slight curve. And that allows the clamp to really get a nice clamping onto the string itself, and holds it still better than if it was just flat. And it also doesn't break as easily. So we're going to make sure we match that up.